Hey everybody, welcome to John Allen Outside. I'm John, and today we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that are often made by new or beginning backpackers. So let's get rolling. Before we get started, I just want to be really clear on one thing. The whole point of this video is not to make fun of anyone or to make anyone feel bad. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I want to make you feel good and feel prepared when you get out onto the trail. So the mistakes that you're going to hear about are things that I've done myself, and it's not uncommon at all for newer backpackers to make mistakes. I just want to point out what those things are so that when you hit the trail, you don't make those same mistakes and yet you have the most successful trip possible. Now, the approach I'm going to take in this video is to identify what that mistake is, and then I will point out one or more solutions to help you avoid either making that mistake or to reduce the risk of yourself making that mistake. So let's get rolling. Mistake number 1 is carrying too much water. I understand why there's a desire to carry a lot of water on the trail because water is life when you're backpacking. However, if you take a liter of water and you put it on the scale, you can see that it weighs over 2 pounds, and the official weight for water is about 2.2 pounds per liter. So as you can see, if you are carrying 3 liters of water when you should really only be carrying 1, you're talking about 4.5 pounds that you can reduce from your pack weight. And think about all the money that people spend just to save a couple of ounces or a half a pound. They spend hundreds of dollars on gear to save that little bit. And here you can completely negate that weight savings by carrying too much water. So let's talk about how you can carry the proper amount of water. The first thing to do is understand how far you can walk on a liter of water in varying conditions. There's not just one hard and fast number to say, oh, well, you can go 5 miles on a liter. It's not that simple. Using myself as an example, if the conditions are hot and I'm going up and down a lot of hills, I can go through a liter of water in under 3 miles. On the flip side, if it's cool and dry and really easy trail, I've gone over 15 miles on a liter of water. So that's a factor of 5 depending on the conditions and the weather and the terrain. So the thing for you to do is to understand how you are going to go through water. Keep track of how much water you're going through, like how many miles per liter you're getting under varying conditions. You may need to even write it down, like type it into your phone or keep notes somewhere. And that's going to help you understand how much water you need. That is really the foundation of it. If you're not sure how much water you need per mile, there's no way that you can really optimize it. The second way to optimize your water carrying is to use an app like GutHook, now it's called Far Out, and know where the next water source is. You can take a look at the app, say, all right, I know there's a water source that's 7 miles ahead, and I need to carry at least 1.5 liters to get there. You should always know where the next water source is. If you don't, how are you going to know how much water you need to carry? The third way is to minimize the amount of water that you use when you're dry camping. That is something that is a little bit of an art, but you can brush your teeth efficiently, you can wash your cook pot efficiently, but that is another way that you can reduce the water that you carry is by reducing how much you use at camp at night. The fourth way is to camel up, and what I mean by that is when you get to a water source, instead of carrying 2 liters, just guzzle 1 liter and you're carrying it, but it's in your belly, and then you have 1 liter in your pack. And you can get yourself really well hydrated that way and not have to carry so much water in your pack. And the fifth and last way that I'll talk about reducing the amount of water you're carrying is to take a break or siesta during the hottest part of the day. So let's say that it's 85 degrees and super hot. Well, you can go through a heck of a lot less water if you're resting during that time of the day, sitting in the shade somewhere rather than hiking up and down mountains. The second mistake that backpackers often make when they're new is hitting the trail out of shape. And I hear people saying, well, I'm going to just get there, I'm going to take it slow at first and then start building up my miles, and I'll just take lighter days when I first get there. And that is way easier said than done. And even doing only 6 or 8 miles with a pack on your back can put a lot of stress on your body. And it's hard for your body to catch up to that. And the end result is, if you get an overuse injury like plantar fasciitis or IT band or shin splints or stress fracture, that can cause all kinds of issues with your hike. It can be a lot of pain for you, and it can even take you off trail. So the solution here is to get yourself in shape before you get to the trail. And this can be a lot of work, but it will pay dividends. The way to train yourself is to start out slow and work your way up. A rule of thumb that I like to use is increase your weekly training mileage by no more than 10% per week. For example, if you start out carrying your pack around the neighborhood, fully loaded, and you're going to do 20 miles a week, The next week do 22, the next week do maybe 24 or 25, and so on and so forth. Just go up about 10% a week and you can help minimize the risk of giving yourself an overuse injury. Ideally, you would be training for 3 to 6 months ahead of a long distance hike. Now, I know that might sound insane and it might sound a little bit unreasonable, but trust me on this, it does take your body a long time to be able to do morning till night hiking every single day with a pack on your back. It takes a long time to strengthen the muscles, the joints, the bones, the tendons, all that stuff. And the more you can train, the more miles you can put in with your fully loaded pack on, the better off you're going to be when you get to the trail. So I know I talked about doing a lot of training, but that mostly applies to if you're doing extended hundreds of miles or more type hiking. If you're just doing a weekend hike, I wouldn't worry about training for months ahead of time. You certainly want to get yourself in shape, but you don't have to go crazy if you're just doing a couple of day hike. The next mistake that I see newer backpackers and even some experienced backpackers making is improper bear hangs. I have run into multiple people on the trail that have had their food taken by bears because they did kind of a halfway bear hang and they didn't do a very good job of it. The solution for this is to learn the PCT hang. It's simple. It just requires a rope and a carabiner and a stick and a proper tree, and you can hang your food and make it much less likely that a bear is going to get it. The general rule of thumb for a PCT hang is to have it at least 12 feet off the ground, have it 6 feet below the branch, and on a branch that is at least 6 feet from the main trunk of the tree. If you do that, you'll minimize the risk of bears getting your food. The next mistake that I see commonly made is improper sun protection. One thing to keep in mind that not everybody realizes is that as you go up in elevation, the sun's UV rays get stronger. I've read that for every 1,000 feet above sea level that you go, the intensity of the UV rays from the sun go up by 6 to 10%. So just do the math. If you're at sea level and then you go up to 5,000 feet, that's like 30 to 50% more intense of sun rays. Then you go up to 10,000 feet, it doubles again. So if you're hiking at 10,000 feet in exposed areas all day, every day, you are taking in a lot of sunlight. You are taking in a ton of UV rays and you need to protect yourself. The solution for sun protection is straightforward. It's just a matter of having the right gear with you. And that starts out with sunscreen. Something of SPF 50 or greater is going to be better for your skin than some of that lightweight stuff, 8 or 10 SPF. That is not going to cut it. And don't forget about your lips. I have put on sunscreen all over my face and neck and then walk around all day, and at the end of the day my lips are all red, and the next day they're starting to crack and bleed because I forgot about it. A little bit of lip balm or chapstick with some sun protection in it will go a long way toward preventing your lips from getting burnt. Next, it gets into the clothing choices that you'll make. If you're in exposed areas and higher elevation, like a sun hoodie with long sleeves, wide brim hat, a buff for your neck to keep the sun off of your neck, and sun gloves. Some people don't think about sun gloves, but your hands are going to be exposed on your trekking poles all day long. And I've actually seen people with blisters on the backs of their hands because they were out in that higher elevation all day long and didn't realize how much damage they were doing to their skin. One other thing I'll mention is the importance of sunglasses. I remember one time my son forgot to wear his sunglasses and we were in a very snowy area and all that sunlight just bounces off the snow. Well, in the afternoon, his eyes were getting all red, and by then it was too late and they were pretty painful for the next 2 days. So you can get sunburn on your eyes. I highly recommend a good pair of UV blocking sunglasses to have with you when you're out on the trail. So if you follow those things, it's fairly simple. You should be able to keep yourself protected from the sun. Now, when I'm on the East Coast or the Midwest where there's a lot of trees, I don't go to all those lengths. I'm going to wear a baseball cap, even a t-shirt sometimes. Now, I wear sunscreen no matter what the conditions are, but you don't have to go to the extent of all of the long sleeves and wide brim hats and stuff if you're just walking in the woods. The last mistake we'll talk about that I see some people making from time to time is carrying redundant gear. And they say that people pack their fears when they go backpacking, and I think it's common to have a fear that something's going to break and you're going to be kind of out of luck when you're out in the middle of nowhere. So I've seen people carry extra lighters, extra water filters, extra sleeping pads. I've seen people take an extra headlamp. So there's all kinds of different gear that people take more than one of because they're worried that something's going to break. And that adds up to a lot of extra weight that you don't want to be carrying. Trust me when I say you want your backpack to be as light as possible when you're out on the trail. So why would I say that you can get away with not taking redundant gear? Because gear does break. I've had gear break many times out on the trail. But think about it this way. When you're out backpacking, generally speaking, you are going to be going to a town at least once a week and probably more often than that. So in a worst case scenario, you're going to be without a piece of gear for a couple of days to a week. So in that time frame, unless you're backpacking somewhere that is extremely remote, you're going to be around other people. And if you needed a water filter, one of your fellow backpackers would be more than happy to let you filter a few liters of water here and there using their filter. If your sleeping pad got a hole in it, you could either sleep on the ground or sleep on your clothes, or somebody might have a repair kit to help you out. Something can be done for that. So no matter what's going on, either one of your fellow backpackers will help you out, or you'll be able to replace your gear in a town. It just simply isn't worth carrying extra gear with you in case something fails. So if you're questioning what I'm telling you, or you're not sure, what I would suggest is go out, take a look at the gear lists of some of the very seasoned backpackers like Dixie or Darwin or Jupiter. Look at their gear list that they have published online, and you'll see that they don't take any redundant gear. And if they can make it work, then you can make it work too, and keep your pack as light as possible. All right, that's it, folks. Those are the 5 mistakes I see backpackers commonly making. If you've made mistakes yourself, or you've seen other folks doing it and you want to share that with the other folks on the channel, please put some in the comments. I'd love to hear about it, and heck, maybe I'll even include it in my next video. If you found any value in this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot. And thanks, and we'll see you out on the trail.